Hey everyone, welcome back to the Building Bigger Lives podcast. I'm your host, Michael Regan, along with my fabulous co host, Kathryn Peterson. And today we are excited to bring a guest back into the frame. This time, this is not only a longtime friend and former client of mine, but a guy who really has a great story to tell. I won't preview it too much, although if you've clicked this far, you already know the topic. We're going to talk to Chad Jackson today. He's up in the Seattle market with CMG. He's been a regional leader there for years and really works with a great team. I happen to know a lot of those folks. Chad, before I ramble any further, please welcome. We're so glad to have you today.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. As I was saying before, this is my first podcast, so let me know how I'm doing and keep me going. But I'm excited to be here for sure and share my story. So thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
And thanks, Chad. I'm excited today because we're going to talk a little bit about something we've talked about before on the podcast, which is the 12-hour walk. So we were all together at an event, and you, during that event, decided to do the 12-hour walk. And I want to back up a little bit and hear a little bit about what inspired you to do that
Yep.
and kind of some of the events leading up to that day, because I think that's a great story.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I was in a place where uh, seeing a lot of success. I was seeing, a lot of good things happening, and I am coaching right now, so I'm trying to, and I coach with Rosemary and Natalie, who I've been working with forever, and they're always keeping me accountable on things that I need to be working on, and and I also coach with Cindy Ertman, who is currently my coach, and so we have some plans on what I should be working on in my life, and what I should be doing with work wise. And I felt like I was knocking out my work goals. We had a big recruiting year. Uh, well, we were growing, we were building. All those things were kind of happening and moving in the right direction. But there was this one little thing, this life account piece that, I had up there that Cindy finally said, "Are you serious about this one? Is this one going to stay on our radar? Are we going to continue to talk about it?" And I realized I need to really start thinking about this. And at that time, I don't know, this was probably September-ish. I was probably the happiest I've ever been. And it kind of just caught me quickly, and I feel like, where did the time go and how did I get this big? And I kind of would justify it in ways where it's like, well, I'm a big social guy. I'm a Wisconsin guy. I have to take people out for lunches and dinners and entertain, and it's a part of the job, and it's who I am. It's this kind of bullshit excuse for what is really not real, But so I kind of felt like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. It's time for me to do something. And then we had the it was the pre-call that we had before we got together in Masters Coach.
Mhm.
And John Donnelly had mentioned this 12-hour walk book. And for some reason I had heard about it earlier, like a week earlier, like that. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. But I didn't know much about it. And then when John started talking about it, I was like, okay, this is like something I need. I don't know why I need it, but I need it, and I downloaded it while we were on the pre-call. And then I audiobooked it. I would go for walks and I would listen to it as I was walking. And then by the time I got to our event, was that November, or when was or
Yeah,
was it
no, it
November?
was in
Yeah.
November down in La Jolla.
Yeah. So the November event, I was done with the book and I was ready to go for my walk and do it. And I planned it to do it on Sunday after we got back. And I laid it out. I'm like, this will be great. I'm going to go to the Building Champions event. I'm going to be up. I've got a plan. I've got my date in the calendar, and I'm sitting in beautiful La Jolla, and I'm supposed to fly home on Friday, and I'm looking at the weather for Sunday, and I'm in the Northwest, and I'm like, God, this looks terrible. It's going to be like 30 degrees and raining. And my wife's like, well, you're in paradise. Why don't you just extend your trip and walk tomorrow? And I'm like, I told Catherine, I'm like, I'm gonna do this thing tomorrow. And so it just kind of, I just went up a date and just kind of went for it that morning. So that's kind of what led up to it.
Chad, it was really fun to be there and watch you just grab a hold of that opportunity and
Mhm.
go for it. I don't think it was your intention, but people noticed that. People that we are in a circle with saw how you responded to that. I mean, you and I had gone walking a couple of mornings in a row there, doing a pretty strenuous hill, and
Mhm.
so that group of people that had been out walking was aware of this because it just became uh, a conversation, and it was really inspiring for folks to see you just say, I'm just going to go for it. Is that indicative? Like if we were to follow your story, is that how you live life, or was this one of those unique moments where you said, I'm not going to plan it out. I'm just doing it right now.
No, I think I'm a kind of a spontaneous type of a person. I think, uh, yeah, I kind of tend to. I love to travel. I love to want. I'm one of those guys. I've RV'd forever without a plan. I'm never one of the guys who maps out. We're going to be gone for 3 weeks and we're staying here one night and then here in the next. We just on the road and go and see where it takes you. That's kind of who I am. I think that's part of what attracted me to it. And honestly, I didn't put a lot of planning in. I wasn't really ready to do it on Saturday. I just got up and I had some shorts, I had a t-shirt, I had a backpack. I put a little bit of water in there, a couple of power bars, an extra pair of socks, and I just headed out the door. I didn't have a map of where I was going. I just knew I was in La Jolla and I was gonna walk north for a while, and just see what happened and just follow the coast, and then that's what I did. So, but, yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, what's there was this like Michael was bringing up, there was like this excitement about you going and everyone was going to be leaving that day. But then we didn't get to hear about the walk. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited that we're together is so walk us through kind of how that day went. And I've been waiting for the end of the movie for kind of a while now. So I'm kind of excited to hear about the movie. So yeah, give us how that went for you.
Yeah, I got up at like it was like I think I got out at 5:30, and they recommend that you, for one of you, I'm sure some of you aren't familiar or not, but you don't have headphones, you don't have anyone to talk to, you're totally unplugged. You have your phone, you could put in airplane mode, and I use Google Maps on there, so I just was like, okay, I'm not sure where I'm going at this point. I'm in La Jolla, it's still a little bit dark out, and so I just put in Del Mar. I'm like, I'm gonna walk north, and I said that I'm walking, so it would guide you on trails or sidewalks or ways to get there. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just head out the door. And it's 5:30. You make a little video of yourself. They recommend you make a video of yourself before you go and why you're doing it and what you're about to do. And so I made a little video of it and outside of the hotel there, and then I just started walking. And I would say the first 45 minutes or so. It was still a little bit dark out, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what am I doing right now? Like, what am I'm like trying to, I just started to kind of think about it. It started to weigh a little bit heavier, kind of like this is actually getting a little bit intimidating. Um, and I'm just going north at that point, and I'm coming up to like Torrey Pines area, and I'm trying to figure out which way to go. And I found like a dirt path, and I think that's where the sun really started kind of coming up. And you could see I was watching the sun come up, and I'm going, it's just a beautiful little area. And it was guiding me right through this like state park area of Torrey Pines. And I just started to kind of get excited about it. And it funneled me all the way down to the beach and still quite a ways from Del Mar. But then, I just kept going. And I was thinking maybe I would do like an out and back, to go out and then turn around and come back. But the more I kept, when I hit a destination, I'm like, I want to hit the next destination. So I just kept putting in the next town. So I went to Torrey Pines, to Del Mar, to Solano Beach, to Cardiff, to Encinitas, all the way up to Carlsbad. I just kept going, and it was really cool. And I'm like, I'll just Uber home. I'm just gonna see how far I can get and how far I can walk, and then I'm gonna just Uber home. But uh, some of the things I noticed though were along the way, I just found this motivation, just kept finding me. And the one thing I really experienced was to get that second win, like runners second win. And I don't think I felt a second win, like a true physical second win, since I was in the military and I could run for days. And it was when I kind of felt it, and I felt that like I can keep going. I'm strong right now. I'm making it to Carlsbad. I'm going. I felt it got me emotional because I'm like, I have not felt this way in so long that I can do this, and it's so much stronger than I think I am, and I think that that is a big part of that book is, you're going against your limiting beliefs and I was definitely feeling it. So it was a pretty amazing experience.
So you get all the way, I mean, Carlsbad, that's not very close to where you started. You're now in an Uber at the end of the day. You're probably feeling some combination of exhilarated and exhausted. What are some of the thoughts going through your head as you're reflecting upon what you just accomplished, not
Yeah.
knowing 24 hours before that that you were even going to attempt this? What were you thinking?
Well, I made it to Oceanside, just so you know. I paused in Carlsbad, and I got a quick bite to eat, and I'm like, okay, Oceanside's another 4 miles or something like that and I'm like, I'm gonna go for it. And it was like 2:30 or so, so I still had time. So I I started getting real sore then. I mean, my blisters popped. They definitely, I don't know about you, Michael, but I had some pretty gnarly blisters on my feet. And by the time I got to Oceanside, I actually was like, I was ready to do a little bit more, but there was like Camp Pendleton there. So there's really nowhere else for me to go. So I walked around the town for a little bit and killed time until 5:30. And what was really cool about that is that that's when the sun was coming down. And I'm sitting there at Oceanside and I'm sitting in this like on the bench and I'm watching the sun go down. And then I got pretty emotional, and I filmed another video there. And um, for one, I went 27 miles that day, and I know a lot of people have gone a lot further, but that it's not about the distance at all, as you know. I think it's just about and something about the motion and no distractions and just being in your own head. Um, just having a conversation with yourself that long. The other thing I did, I found that I like myself. I like talking to myself. I'm an interesting person. So I kind of enjoyed that part of the experience. And it was powerful, it was emotional, and the one thing that I focused when I was riding home in the Uber, I really thought about, wow, I'm happy with the things I've done in my life, but I've wasted a lot of time, and I've had a lot of beliefs about myself or limiting beliefs that just aren't true. And so. Like the weight thing, I've dropped about 30 pounds since then. Well, I,
Wow.
I had dropped probably 10 before I met you guys there because I had started the walk a little bit. I've started to walk and get ready for it, but I was I was up to about 300 pounds. So I was really at a bad place. And so um, and I've maintained that right now to about the 30 to 25. I'm bouncing there. But now I'm ready to go to the next stage. I just did a lot of traveling and excuses, but I'm definitely far more aware and I'm far more active than I was leading up to any of that. But the ride home, Michael, was amazing in the Uber. And I think I got this another gift was the driver was a guy who was an ex-Marine. I was telling him what I did, and man, I don't even know you, dude, but I'm proud of you, man. That's what he said.
Oh,
And,
that's
and
awesome.
and then he got all hooked up about it, and he goes, I need this. He goes, because he had lost like 30 pounds. He was over 300 pounds, and I think he's probably still, around that 300 mark. He goes, but I need something like this. So I'm pretty sure that that guy picked up the book because he was pumped up by the end of my Uber drive back to the home. So
That is so good. One
yeah.
more thought on this one, Chad, before we leave the walk and maybe talk about, where you are today. As you're walking, is there any process that you're following, or are the thoughts just random? Like, did you notice like any sense of continuity to the thoughts, or what was the experience like as you reflected on all the things you were able to think about?
Man, I think I just rolled the tape of my life, and just thinking about my family, my kids, my wife, and one thing we're good at are we're dreamers, we love to think about the future and where we're going and just part of like when you're in the RV, together in the morning and you're driving down a road you've never been on before. There's something really exciting about that. And I want so much more of that when I'm done with this career. I want to see that part of my life and I want to see
Mhm.
grandkids. And so those were the kind of thoughts that really kept running through my head. And then like work wise, just like, like I said before, I would make the excuses like, well, I'm a big guy because this is who I am. That's bullshit, or hey, I did enough work to, I got a lot done. I moved the ball. I think I can take a break. I'm good.
Mm.
That's bullshit. They can do more. You should do more. I think the difference between good and great is doing that one extra thing. And that's where, so I have really, since that walk, I'm like, no, you're not done yet. You got time. You got more you can do. And pushing that extra few calls or the extra things that you're doing, it's showing results, I feel like. And just leading my team more, you know, thoughtfully on what we're doing, what our plan is, what we're trying to accomplish, and knocking down goals and having more accountability around it. So those are all things that I think that have changed since my walk, I would say.
So then it for you, it sounds like the walk was pretty substantial as far as you carrying those things forward. So
Mhm.
talk a little bit about what decisions you made on the walk and then what's happened since the walk. You've talked a little bit about it, but I need to hear more.
Yeah. Um, well, I kind of reevaluated some lifestyle choices and, just certain decisions, how I want to spend my weekends, how I want, what I want to do. There's just better ways. My wife and I now on weekends, we often get up and go for long walks on Saturday and if we can Sunday, to do that together. I feel so much better walking now. Like I enjoy it. We ended up we got the Peloton tread, so when the weather's bad, I'm out there. I did 4 miles this morning on it. Just watch, I'll watch a Netflix show or something, or catch up on ESPN. And as I do that, just little things like that. They're just totally different choices than I was doing prior to that. I would get up, have coffee, watch some TV, check my phone, and didn't really have a strong morning routine. But this has been far better. And I definitely do more meditating as well because I think that walk in itself, when you're really tuning everything else out and you're just in your own head, I mean, it's a lot like meditation. So it helps
Mhm.
simulate that for me. And it just keeps, you could choose your day, and if you're on that walk, I chose to feel strong. I chose to be excited about it. I chose to let in the motivation and feel good about it. And if I would have told myself this is too hard, I can't do this, it would have been a whole different experience. So I've tried to carry that forward. When I get up in the morning, I'm like, this is gonna be a great day. Like I'm gonna have a great day. I'm just gonna be productive. I'm gonna hang it up at the end of the day and I'm gonna feel really good about this day. And then I'm gonna hang out with my kids or my family or my friends, whatever my plan is after, and I'm excited going into the day, and I'm really trying to stay in that place.
Okay, so I totally believe that you honored the commitment to have no AirPods, so you had no music going, you had no podcast going, no audio book, you were alone with your thoughts. But if I know you, Chad, at some point during this walk, there was still some music in your head. Did you take advantage of singing out loud to keep your song alive?
No, but so yes, I've been a musician in Seattle for probably 30 years. I've had like four main bands that I've been in over those years. Each band was like 7 years apiece. My brother and I played music together for years. We've put out probably 9 albums together, and I have a new band now that I'm really excited about. It's called Sweetener, and you guys can find Sweetener music on Facebook or wherever. You can look up Sweetener Better Living and listen to it, our stuff anywhere that you listen to music. Um, but that was really thinking about this too. I thought a lot about music, Michael, and I thought a lot about, you know what? I'm not done yet. And I always thought that being, I'm 55 years old now, I'm not supposed to be playing in a rock band anymore and writing original songs. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say, you know. But that is so not true today. I mean, what I realize is that in the 90s, like when I was trying to do this stuff, there was image was really important, how young you were, how you looked, the record labels cared about that. Nowadays, nobody cares. It's like you can look how you want. Is your music good? Is it fun? It's just a different thing. And you don't need a record label to get your music out there. There's just so many things you could do. So we recommitted to it. And when I got back from the walk, I'm like, we got to get in the studio. We got to get in a good studio. We went in, we recorded, we went to London Bridge Studios in Seattle, famous studio. They recorded a lot of like Pearl Jam there and, you know, Temple of the Dog and just tons of stuff. So we went and recorded 5 songs, and we're about to release them. They're ready to go, but we're just getting all the artwork and things around it. And I honestly and Michael, and I think it's really kind of cool. We got an offer from a management company down in LA that wants to work with us, and so I told him I didn't think we could still do this at our age. He goes, "That's complete. Look who's selling out stadiums nowadays. It's people want to hear, real music." And so we have some opportunity with it, and it's been exciting. So
Chad, I'm obviously gonna play coach here, but I heard three really important things there, and all of them leveled up. You found out that physically you could level up.
yeah.
You found out that your life, that there's more you could do, so that it was not just physically, it was maybe mentally, so emotionally, somewhere in there, your mindset shifted, and maybe third, and just as important to you, musically, because that's such an awesome creative outlet that you've enjoyed over your adult life. And for those of you who maybe don't believe it, I mean, seriously, go check out what Chad is putting out. These guys are passionate about the music they create, and it's fun to see you do that. But to see all three of those, it's like you broke through whatever ceiling was there, and you're now playing at another level simply because that walk allowed you to think differently, and now you're doing things differently. That's a pretty powerful testimony to a book that our friend John Donnelly shared with us, way back last year.
Well, and Michael, you know Colin O'Brady because and that was the other thing. I had no idea that Colin O'Brady wrote that book when John Donnelly was talking about it first. And then he goes, you heard him speak before. It was at the Masters event in Lanai,
Yeah.
where he came and spoke. And I was really sold because I loved his message there. And I thought he was a great speaker. So that got me really pumped up about it. So getting his book and reading it. Now I sent him an email to see if he would speak on one of my Winning Wednesdays. He hasn't returned my email. So if you know him, Michael, maybe give him a nudge and tell him he should call Chad Jackson.
I'll do my best, Kathryn. I like a good referral. So
I'm sure he's busy, but I'd love for him to talk to my sales force
hey, you know
next.
what? As long as we're leveling up, let's keep trying. I like that.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Kathryn, I think we can bring this one into a close. Any final thoughts or questions for Chad?
Just something I don't want to make like light of is it also sounds like this has impacted your team and those people around you.
Mhm.
And I think that that's one thing to think about when we do something big in our lives is it doesn't just hit you, it hits your wife, it hits your family, it's your team at work, it's the people that will listen to this. So I think that that's what we forget in a lot of this, that the impact is wide reaching. So you did bring that up briefly, but I didn't want our audience to miss that.
Yes, and I think Kathryn, was it you, me and Todd that were doing the exercise together, the one word exercise? And that word for me was transformation. That was the word that stuck with me that day.
Mm-hmm.
And it stuck with me ever since. And that word is like, that's what I'm trying to do this year and beyond. But that I kind of was like, well, I can focus on any part of my business right now. But really, if I
Mm-hmm.
just focus on me, my health, my mental health, and my well-being, then everything else is going to take care of itself. And I feel like that is happening. And that walk kind of spurred it, that retreat that we had with the mastermind group, the people that we were there with are just inspiring. And then and even the morning walks, Michael, just kind of got me like in a place where I wanted to do it. And I'm so thankful that I did because I do feel like it's made a very positive change for me. Yeah.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. His very first podcast Chad, you did great. This was
Well,
awesome to hear your story.
thank you.
Obviously, I'm a little biased because I love you. I love working with you, and I certainly love hearing where you are. But I'm so glad our audience got to hear your story. And Kathryn, thank you for really being astute about bringing out that final observation. And I hope all of you who are out there listening, if you found inspiration from Chad's story, we'll make sure there's a contact link in the show notes so you can reach out to Chad and say thanks if that's important. He already told you can find him on Facebook, so please go do that. Support what he's doing.
I'd love to
And
hear from you. Yeah.
oh, that's really great. And last but not least, a lot of times we remind you guys to share these episodes if they were inspirational. I'm just telling you right now, share this episode. Somebody out there is listening that knows the person that needs to hear Chad's story because they know someone who would love to be inspired by what you just shared today, Chad. So thank you for being available to us. It's been our pleasure to have you on Building Bigger Lives.
That was super fun. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you both.
We'll see you soon. Look for us again, as always, on Apple, on Spotify, on Amazon, and next week on YouTube when we will post the video version. We'll see you next time on Building Bigger
Awesome.
Lives.